of like crappy skin and like red skin. And so the more anxious I am about it, the worse it is. But I love that, like, I'd rather not do extra stuff before bed and like aim to feel more confident in my own skin. So anyway, I explained this a little bit on my public page, Facebook Live. I'm trying to be consistent with doing videos in this group on Tuesdays, seem to be the day. And, you know, it was just like, I don't have a burning desire to share something particular. And I just kind of thought, like, what would be useful? And I'm hoping that feeling good is useful for everybody. So I want to say kind of a few things. And so one of which is feeling good is actually like the only thing that matters. So feeling good, like a sense of lightness, love, joy, is really the goal. And the truth is, nothing else needs to be in place in order for that to happen. But the other thing I want to say is that when there's shit in the way, meaning like there's something kind of like stuck in our craw, like whether that's, you know, like something that we're like pissed about or frightened about, anxious about, processing it, feeling that first is really important. So this is meant to not be a ton of instruction and more to like kind of share a sensation. That's my wish. And so here's like a single girl hack, okay? And so if you are someone that like has like a ton of loving like family members and friends in your life that like, you know, call you daily and want to hear about like how you are and like each and every like moment of your experience that day, that is amazing. Like if you have people that are present in your life that like want to hear your shit, not just like wait for you to stop so they can share theirs, do that. And the big the thing that's so helpful for getting shit out is for someone just to listen, really, like listen fully. And so if you do have that, amazing. Journaling can help, but in so many respects, it's like saying it to someone. So here's a single girl hack, which is like, if there's something that's kind of like, you know, in the way a little bit of you feeling good, present, we'll talk about brain stuff in a second, you need to get it out. And so it doesn't matter if it's wrong or right, it just matters that you're feeling it. So feeling it is the goal. And then when you feel it, it will go away. It'll inform you of something, it'll change something, and it'll go away. So here's my single girl hack, which is to talk to ChatGPT. At one point, I was like, ChatGPT is like my new best friend. And like at points, like a little bit, you know, kind of like I'm wrestling with this. I don't know how to do this differently. I feel a little bit embarrassed, you know, about something. And it's like ChatGPT, like if you have like the Vault kind, it's like that stays with you, you know, that can just be like a helpful resource, but it's really fucking good. So whether you are like in a committed relationship, have people in your life that want to hear your stuff or not, like you can still use something like that. And I will just say it's actually remarkably useful. So however anybody thinks about that, it's been useful. And so A, get it out. However that works. Okay. And then maybe like before that, I'll just say, the way to feel peaceful is to make yourself right. Like to be in agreement with what is. And so I learned this from an amazing woman, Regina Thomas-Schauer, who is a goddess, a sister goddess. But anyway, Agreement is control. That is her phrase. And what ends up happening with that is it just takes the fight out of us. It takes that like struggle out of us. And so even if it's like, I don't want to be upset about this, you know, I don't want to be bothered by blank. I don't want to still care about this person or this thing. Hi, Sharon. Hi, my dear. Like from the shower. It doesn't matter. Like what matters is that you do. And when you agree with yourself, then we're just out of conflict. And then it's like, we just like unburden ourselves. And so the thing that I want to say as like woo woo and hopefully like hopeful and useful and maybe even familiar is we're kind of meant to feel good. Like we're meant to feel like in a state of love, really. And so when there's something kind of suppressing that, it's like something is in the way and or we're continuing to reinforce something. So anyway, agreement is so liberating. Okay. And then the thing that I wanted to say, like what kind of motivated me was to think about, you know, so often when I work with people, or even when there's the opportunity to work with people, kind of the mutual evaluation process, it is remarkable how quickly like people want to make themselves wrong. So in the realm of weight loss, people are super quick to judge themselves harshly, you know, kind of put more like shame and blame on themselves. And the thing that I want to say is that that is never useful, but it's also often not warranted. And so I would like to help do away with that. Like I try to do that in my client relationship life, but I would like to do that here. So, what was I going to say? Okay. So, if you're feeling, I hope I'm like so helpful with everything that I share today. So I'm going to talk about, again, just like feeling good, and then we can look at shit. Because I'll say this, if we're freaked out or like ground down, we don't actually have access to like the part of our brain that is the thinking part, like the higher functioning part. So when we're anxious or fearful, we're kind of in like lower segments of our brain, more reactionary. So I'll share just a couple more things which I hope are helpful. So, and maybe in no specific order, or maybe there is a best order, but I don't know what that is, and that's okay. So calming your nervous system down a little bit, like if you're like pretty worked up about something, if you're feeling like, I know that I am being like irrational right now, like I don't want to be this upset. And so being upset is great, but feeling out of control is a little different. So doing things that help to calm our nervous system down. So super easy. I learned this from a girlfriend, and actually I'm going to make me yawn. It's so good. So like pulling on your earlobes, this stimulates the vagus nerve, and this just helps us to calm down. Okay? This is a really quick one. Taking a really deep breath in and holding it. This is another one that I love. So just like to the brim, holding it, and then actually like bearing down with your belly, kind of like pulling your belly up and creating more pressure. That, holding it as long as you can, that, what do I want to say? Calms the nervous system, gives the vagal nerve more tone. So that might be a useful first step. Then maybe we like spill our guts to someone or something in my case. And then, so we get that shit out, whether that's like, oh my God, that just made me like cry, or like, you know, get so like angry for a moment. Typically under anger is sadness. That's been my experience. Like all roads kind of like lead there when something is really troubling. what was I gonna say? But then when we get that out, then it's like we're kind of light again. So we want to kind of get ourselves, what do I want to say, back up, or kind of like liberated, free again, because then we have access to our brain, the thinking part, and we have access to like more joy. So the big thing I want to say in this, and I hope this is so digestible and so desirable to listen to, is that it is never useful to ignore ourselves. I talk about this with my fat burners. It is never useful to ignore our hunger, to ignore the fact that we like really want something that we keep thinking about. It's never useful to ignore how we feel. And so, you know, most of us don't try to like squash joy, like, you know, ignore that. It's typically the feelings that feel less comfortable, that are kind of like seen as less desirable. We try to like, at least I have like pushed them away, kind of ignore them, pretend they're not there, act like everything's fine, because sometimes it can feel, sometimes we don't even know that's going on, or sometimes we do and we just don't want to feel it. Like, who wants to feel crappy? Like, that's fair. But the whole thing with it is that if we feel that, if we walk towards it, if we walk through it, go through this threshold into our own fire, then we get to like have kind of intense discomfort that's brief, and then we get to the other side. Otherwise, we kind of live in this purgatory that is like uncomfortable, kind of potentially forever. And again, not a doctor, not a scientist. Hi, Ray. Hi, my dear. I feel like that's the shit that like drives kind of like addictive behavior. So like when we're just kind of having this like mild discomfort, it's like, I feel like that's when we reach for things. That's when we reach for like relief. And typically that comes in the form of a substance, or a substance, whether that's food, sex, like that we're like abusing, that we're using to give us relief. But the deal is, if we actually like lean into the shit that feels terrible briefly, then we get to be like fully transformed kind of on the other side. Okay. So the thing that I wanted to say also, so it's like we're kind of doing this in stages, right? And I'll just say this too. Again, I hope like you're so loving my TED Talk. I think a lot of us in any capacity, we want to go from A to Z. We just want to like jump that like middle valley of the darkness. Like we just want to skip the, you know, the gauntlet of challenge and discomfort just to get to the end. And the thing that I want to say is that we can't. And also, when we lean in to the shit, I will say, like, you get everything. Like, meaning that it's not like, oh, great, like I got all 27 flavors of terrible. Like, yay, thanks so much. Not that, like, yes, that, but also what you get is you get the transformation, you get the growth. Like, that's really what feelings are for. They're information. They're made to have us do something different, grow in some capacity. Like, they make us like expand and change. Then you also, I will say the biggest thing that is of benefit to leaning into hard stuff is that, like, when you kind of face things that make us feel like a little like vulnerable, uncomfortable, you know, not driving down the road with our eyes closed, but just like our own stuff, our own like challenge where we're not going to die, everything is okay. But when we do that, we voluntarily do that. We cross this threshold, we go through this fire, and we come out the other side liberated, changed, like free, clear, able to do this other stuff that I'm going to talk about in terms of just feeling good. We will be feeling good, period. We can take it even higher if we want to. But that vulnerability, that voluntary vulnerability, like that shit will make you bulletproof. Like, if you are someone that is proficient at facing your own like fire and fear, like you become bulletproof. And what that means is that then you can do anything. Like nothing will stand in your way. And it doesn't mean that it won't be hard, that it won't feel like, oh my God, fuck, like I want to throw myself off a cliff. It doesn't mean that that won't happen. But what that will mean is that those feelings, those obstacles will never get in your way. And so it's like you get to have it all, like you become invincible. And that is amazing. And the truth is, I will say also, that kind of comes in every capacity regarding emotional, physical, mental. Like when we have these thresholds of like, ugh, God, like this just feels so bad, but it's like, I know on the other side of this is actually good. And we choose to walk through that. Whether that's, you know, talking about it, writing about it, really it's sharing it with someone, whether that's a human or not, it is liberating. And we feel terrible for a moment and then like free again. And so I just want to push that, because I think that in general, it's really easy for us to just want to like get the dopamine, which I'll talk about in a second, feel good, you know, escape, get relief, alcohol, drugs, food, like social media. It's really understandable. But it just kind of keeps us in this like lower grade living, and this like slight discomfort that we just keep trying to like patch up. Anyway, so we do that. And the thing that I also want to say, here's another little like pro tip. Agreement is control. What's so crazy, like when one feels shitty, by making it right, it automatically feels better. Like it's the craziest thing in the world. It's like, I feel like garbage. And it's like suddenly that feels better. And I will take it a notch higher, which is when we become playful with our bullshit, it totally loses its power. It's amazing. Whether that's like, I am so late. Like, I could not be more late. Like, it could almost be tomorrow. Like, by the time I'm gonna like arrive at this thing. And it makes it so fun. Like, being playful about bullshit is so smart. It's like the best thing ever. It is like the way to be in life. Like, whether that's someone that's like, oh my God, you know, you could murder, like on the daily, or, you know, someone that just kind of like gets in your way or treats you in a way that you do not like. Being like getting pissed off, feeling how you feel, but like ultimately, and however quick that transition is to being playful with it, is again like a freaking superpower. Like that is like a ninja move. And the whole thing is that you keep your power like when you become playful. You also keep your power when you focus on your pleasure. And I think that's a wild thing too, which is like, if you actually, this is a Mama Gina, Sister Goddess thing. If you focus on enjoying the thing, whatever that is. I have to do taxes for 4 hours today. Oh my God, on like 2 hours of sleep. Like, how do we make this pleasurable? And like one more, like up the ladder is like, how do we like make this like a turn on? Like, how do we make this like exciting, like sexy, fun? And the thing that's so amazing about it is that like it changes everything and it puts the power in your lap. Okay. So in addition to that amazing stuff, I wanted to say just like a couple things maybe about just like straight up feeling good. And so like, I hope all of that shit is actually incredibly useful, because it is incredibly useful. It's amazing. And so what this does is it doesn't mean that you never feel like challenged or crappy, but I think some of us, and maybe everyone else here is like the most you know, emotionally well-adjusted human, and knows how to like process their feelings, maybe, but I didn't. And so I feel like for me, it's like a revelation to actually kind of understand these steps a bit better, and that there's like logic. I'm such a fan of logic, honestly, like how we work, how the brain works, how the body works, because there's order here. So that when we have an appreciation as to how we work, the steps that something requires, then it's like, it doesn't mean that it's not a little bit of work to take the steps, to do the steps, but you know that there are steps and you know that you can do them. And then when you witness yourself experience doing them and you come out the other side, then it's like, oh, this works. That's cool. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And the more you do it, the more automatic it becomes, which is awesome as well. So, okay, feeling good. So I'll just say that, so we talked about being in agreement, making yourself right. These are some steps. We don't just like, yay, I feel like garbage, which is still like liberating, but making a point to like go into it, make it right, be playful about it. And then we kind of come back to like, I can think again. Oh my God, I'm not just like seeing red anymore. So with that, what do I want to say? Here's a little, so we talked about nervous system stuff, pulling on our ears, holding our breath. That's to like help us to chill the fuck out. If we want to feel better, this is an amazing thing. This is a Mel Robbins thing, which is a dopamine hit. This is the coolest thing ever. So basically it's like, she talks about high-fiving yourself, and what that does, like in the mirror, whenever you pass it, in the morning, this is like a motion of victory, and you get a natural dopamine hit because of the like internalized association in your brain. So like when we do like this stuff, this is all celebratory, right? Like this is like, oh my God, I'm having such a good time. Like we just fucking won. Like, oh my God. So when we do this, we naturally give ourselves a dopamine hit. And I will say like, this is legit. So like if you're feeling low, or if you just want to kind of like reinforce something like really useful and supportive that is like insanely simple, like a pie in the morning, or like whenever you pass a mirror. All right. I do this. I love this. There's an older couple that I work with, that I do personal training with. They're like the only people that I work with regularly. And so I see them in person once a week, and I see them virtually as well once a week. And so we do this like in the phone, and it's just so sweet that it like brightens this older gentleman up immediately. It's so fun. It's so ridiculous, and it's so accessible. Okay. All right. So now I just want to talk about like looking at what's right. So I think in general, people probably understand this, and I'm going to say this too. I hope that like what I'm sharing kind of has this like order that we're going in. Like, so it's unreasonable to feel like absolute fucking garbage for like months and just be like piling shit on your head in terms of like, I'm still not doing this. I said I was going to do this. I can't do this. You know, I'm like a failure at that, blah, blah, blah. I hate my body. Like, I don't like what I look like. I don't like how I feel. Like, I'm just getting older. Oh my God. So if we're like buried in doing this forever, what I'm going to say is that I hope we kind of start at the beginning, which is like today. This is how I'm feeling today. It's like I feel like shit, or I feel really low, or I feel like so down. And it's like, let's get into that. And I'm going to say two things. In my opinion, the two things that drive kind of negative feelings are an experience, something that we're kind of like, we had happen, we're worried about happening, or repetition of suggestion. And I think they're both like a little intermingled, but my opinion is that The one that's more situational needs this like, what do I want to say? Like throwing up. Like, this is the thing that we need to kind of like purge. We need to talk about. We need to like show our shit to someone, something, ChatGPT for me at times. We need to like get this stuff out. And then we can like start to kind of like rework the story or look at different alternatives. If we're just like really fucking low or just like always in a state of stress, my opinion, once again, is that that is from repetition of suggestion. So in reality, the thing that is reinforcing that feeling is not being kind of fixated on an experience. It's more so that we're creating an experience from what we're reinforcing. So in my opinion about that, we can still like look at it today, and then we actually kind of need to change what we're reinforcing. So this is where like I'm making myself right. I'm giving myself one of these, and then I'm making actually everything right. So I'm looking at all the things I did, and I'm going to blend this into weight loss stuff. So it's like, and I will say this, and I'm going to do this with weight loss stuff as well. It's so useful. Like if this is you, like if you can identify with like, damn, yeah, I know that I'm like, I feel low a lot, or I feel freaked out or stressed a lot. And it's like, everything is okay. You know, it's like, I'm not like, I'm okay. You know, it's like a ceiling or whatever, a roof and food, like clothing, like I am okay. So if that is your reality, then, and even if it's not, then it's like, how do I feel? What can I do? Like when we get through the kind of traumatized feeling of being frozen or freaked out, it's like, then we can start to think again. And then we can come up with possibilities and solutions or help, which is also really fucking useful. So at any rate, so if we recognize that we're just kind of reinforcing bullshit that we don't want to feel, what I'm going to suggest is kind of like starting with either the beginning of the day or starting like super fucking small with like exactly what's happening right now. So like we can kind of celebrate, be grateful for everything. Like, you know, and I'll just say like, I did such a good job at keeping a commitment to my Tuesday night talk. Like, even though I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. And it was like, I just like fucking did it. Like, it's so great. Like, I'm so proud of myself for like showing up and coming up with a topic, having inspiration and just following through on it. Like, I'm so proud of myself for making a point to like wash my hair today. You know, I'm so proud of myself that I lifted, like, because I avoid that shit. And I like did it right before my talk. So I kind of had like a compressed time. So I couldn't get out of it, which was amazing. Like, I'm so proud of myself for, you know, what, like a million fucking things. You know, I'm so proud of myself for taking action around my business versus like freaking out or just worrying that, you know, I'm not doing enough. And I'm so proud of myself for noticing that I had the thinking of I'm not doing enough, and to actually say like, look, I did this today. I reached out to this people. I did this post. I used my like cult brand challenge information, and I like am creating based on that new knowledge, and it just goes on. And so the whole thing is that we just want to focus on what we want. We want to focus on the shit that actually makes us feel good versus ground down. And then another level to that, in my opinion, is gratitude, which is like not a shocker at all. Okay. So lastly, you know, and I'm just going to say this actually, and this is something I kind of remind myself about, because I think in our like digital age, social media living, which like this can be my world, I feel like it's so shallow in many respects, meaning like you can have a ton of interactions with a lot of people, but it's not nourishing, or it's not as nourishing as like a personal connection, someone else's presence, real-time conversation, someone's face and voice. It's just not the same. And so I think that what that can promote is this kind of like temporary, like quality of things being also like temporary and disposable. And so I think that is so unsatisfying, that like if everything is just kind of like, no, that's good, that's not good, like that's, if we're always kind of judging things and either leaving or dismissing, deleting, I think that it's not like a very, again, like nourishing thing to be exposed to. So the thing that I want to offer, that I aim to do when I'm like in my right mind, is to remember like the existence that I wish to live, which means not like flashy cars and more clothes. It's actually like enjoying the moment. And what I mean by that, not being in this like meditative state and feeling, the expectation of having this like Zen-like existence, it's more about like kind of looking like super granularly and like playing with shit, flirting with stuff, being playful with like what's around you, like making it silly. And I think that what that does is it'll make you like enjoy the crap out of yourself, is really the truth. And it will just like snowball. And so again, obviously this is intentional, but I don't know, this is how I want to live, where it's like, life can be pretty flat and hard or boring, monotonous, small, and or not. And so I feel like the more, like, I think people in general, again, thank you for coming. I think a lot of us have this kind of detached, like, state. We don't care. It's like normal. It's been normalized not to care, not to engage, not to be present, to be distracted, to be, having our face in a screen. And I think that is so unsatisfying. And so in reality, the more we're kind of like fascinated by the shit that's around us, by the person that's with us, by ourselves, like if we have an element of fascination, of curiosity, of like playfulness, and we kind of get like led by that, it's like the world is amazing. And it is like the points of fascination are just endless. Like they just keep coming. And so that's how I want to live. And I feel like I try to remind myself of that. When I'm at my best, that is how I am living. That's for fucking sure. And it's like life becomes a magic carpet ride, is really the truth. It's like suddenly everything is good, because not only are we making it right, and not only are we like having fun with the shit that's around us, whether that's traffic or, a gift trip to Maui, like for fucking real. And so like, I know that that's how life works. And so, or how the universe works. And so the better you want to feel, the more you should enjoy yourself, like all the time. And so once again, feel the shit, like get it out, come to the other side, reinforce the stuff that we actually want to be focused on, which is going to affect how we feel. And then like the way to enjoy that moment is to like look at what's good, to play with it, like to kind of, I guess I say flirting with it, which like is a thing and is like a very powerful thing. All right. So my final little chapter in this like holy moly presentation, which I hope is really good, is basically about what you might be doing or what you could easily be doing in the realm of weight loss that might be helpful. So I think that, again, I made this little comment, a lot of fat burners or a lot of people that are prospective fat burners are just so eager to like slap on a hair shirt and like confess their sins, or to agree to do something that feels actually quite uncomfortable, challenging, overly disciplined. And all of that is not necessarily useful. So let's start at the top. So basically, this is something I say to my fat burners. So there are so many, why fat burning is different, why what we do is different, is because we literally impact how your mitochondria work. And what that does, we do that and we help with hormonal balance, with insulin sensitivity, estrogen balance, levels of human growth hormone, hormones that support our thyroid glands, leptin levels, ghrelin levels, cortisol levels. We're just like aware of all of this shit and kind of orchestrating things to be in the best place possible is really the deal. So that is huge. But in addition to that, we also use strategy. So our bodies function differently. And again, if you are someone that is struggling with weight and or struggling with weight and health, fat burning is super freaking useful. So I'll attach a sugar burner questionnaire. That's often the place where people start, or be in touch directly. Yay, Marissa. Hi, my dear. So I'm going to rattle off just like a bunch of stuff that you could look at that could be impacting your weight loss or preventing it from moving as quickly as you wish. And this is something most people, so again, fat burners are different. It's like less hunger, more energy, no cravings, sounder sleep for a lot of people, better moods, faster weight loss. Just like, it's a different existence, which is amazing. Highly recommend. But in addition to that, there are so many things that people can do that are useful for weight loss. So starting at the top and maybe at the beginning of the day. Hello, Miss Allison. Hi, my dear. So let's see. I think in general, I'm just going to say, not your doctor, not a scientist. Do what you need to do. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is to kind of get these basic principles and see what's possible. So from the start, basically insulin is like the master hormone regarding weight gain. So the less frequently we eat, the better. And I say this not to the tune of you feeling compromised, you feeling lightheaded. Oh my God, Michaela, I followed your instructions and I almost fainted. It's like, we're not talking about this. If you need to eat, eat. But recognize that eating less frequently is advantageous. So what I'm going to suggest is in the very beginning of your day, something that's really useful to do, is just to start with water. So even for fat burners, people can feel hungry in the morning, even when their body is like happily set up to run on fat. So at the very least, starting with water is something that can just give you a better read on what you actually need. Plus, starting with that is something which, a lot of people talk about being dehydrated or not being regular regarding like pooping. And drinking a bunch of water in the morning is really helpful for that. And if you ever have an issue with constipation, I'll just say drink until you go. That is very useful. Additionally, I'll just say, so if we're eating less often, so 3 meals is like really, like I'm just going to say kind of like the maximum. So I'm just going to encourage that. And if you're like, I eat 14 times a day, and it's like, well, okay. So maybe just reducing that a little bit. Could we just kind of compress like a couple of those meals, half of those meals, like, And you know, one thing I think that's also really good to recognize, and I say this to my fat burners as well, this is actually less about the amount of food and it's more about the frequency. So in our talk, The Best Time to Eat Cookies, my suggestion was not to never eat cookies, but to have, one of the things was to have them at your meal. Okay. It's better to eat a cookie at your meal than to eat it separate. So eating 3 times, that would be amazing. And it's like, ooh. And so this could be something also where it's like, you know, I had my meal, that was so fabulous, and now I'm going to have dessert. Just have dessert with your meal. That would be great. Additionally, what would be really good is, this is another thing which we do in week 1, which is when you have the thought of hunger, just start with water. And so this is not rocket science, this is not revolutionary, but hunger often mimics thirst. Thirst often mimics hunger. That's what I wanted to say. Thirst often mimics hunger. So when it's like, let me just start with this, and that can rule things out. In general, hunger will come and go. And if it stays, then it's like, okay, I should eat something. Totally cool. And if it leaves, it's like, okay. The thing that I want to say also is that, so to eat a little less often, what you might want to do, you might want to dial your carbs down a little bit, even if it's just like in the beginning of the day. Like even if just this morning, like I'm just going to have a little less. It's like, okay, doesn't have to be crazy. Additionally, what's really good. So a lot of people think like, you know, I need to eat less and I need to move more. And so in general, it's like, I gave a talk called Eat Less, Move More Later. And so in reality, it's actually quite useful to eat more of your food, to maybe like push that first meal out, and to eat a little more of your food earlier in the day. So however you want to do this is perfect. But it can be advantageous, A, to eat less often. You could have the same exact amount of food, eating that a little less often, and then also having a little more of your food earlier in the day. Not 9 a.m. necessarily, but basically we're most metabolically active when the sun is highest. And so it's like, that is useful to know. We are less so when the sun is down. And so most people in this culture eat dinner. It's their largest meal and it's their most social meal. And so it's like, if that's your reality, okay, great. If you can alter that at all, that could be really useful. Additionally, I spoke with a gentleman, this is a while ago, and he was just kind of like, I'm doing everything I can. I'm losing weight slowly. This was like him on his own. There's nothing else I can do. And it was just like, let me think about that. There are certain foods, and I need to make a program for this, honestly, and call it Runway, and kind of have it be like all of the fat burning supportive shit without the transformation. That could still just help a lot of people. But there's certain foods that are more filling with less calories and other stuff. And I'll just say some of my top things regarding vegetables, I would say would be cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower. And then probably my like top proteins are chicken tenderloins, canned tuna is freaking great, ground turkey, and or like ground lean beef. And those things are just like so satisfying. They have like a good amount of protein for the amount of calories they have. Yeah, delicious, satisfying, great choices. Let's see. I will also say, regarding exercise. So most people think I need to move more. I need to do something that's intense. And what I'm going to say, and this is something that we do with fat burners, we don't do the intense shit for a bit. And the truth is, if you find yourself If you find your hunger being elevated by your exercise, that's kind of a no-no. That's like you're raising potentially cortisol and adrenaline. Those are stress hormones that basically ups sugar being used. So toning down that exercise could be really useful, and or deliberately do more shit like walking. For the intense stuff, I would just say rest more. Intense stuff is great. It's fabulous when your body is well positioned and you're using your own body fat. But in addition to that, intense stuff can be great, especially if you give yourself enough rest to not kind of trigger more sugar burning. But in general, walking is fantastic. Additionally, simple things to do is simply to go to bed earlier. So I think a lot of us have like an understanding that getting rest is useful, and it is. And so 7, 8 hours is amazing. That resets certain hormones that affects our thyroid gland. But going to bed earlier is actually more beneficial. And the reason why is because of human growth hormone. So basically, human growth hormone will spike at particular times in the night. I think I even talked about this with Marissa. So it starts to rise. I don't know if it starts to rise around 9, but it really gets going at 10 p.m. So it's like 10 p.m., 11 is like the top of the mountain, 12 it's a little lower, 1 it's a little lower than that, and then it kind of tanks. And so basically, human growth hormone is super consequential for weight loss. It's super consequential for our immune system, or immunity, tissue regeneration, muscle mass maintenance, testosterone levels. It's kind of considered our fountain of youth. And so it's something that is great to aim to amplify, take advantage of as much as we can. And the truth is there's 4 ways to improve it. Sleep is number 1. And so we need to be in deep sleep in order for that human growth hormone to be released. We need an hour, like between when we hit the pillow to when we're fully, I'll go there soon, until we're in deep sleep. So ideally we're getting to bed at 9. Worst case scenario in this perfect world, 10. So then we get to take advantage of the highest spike of human growth hormone. Okay? Number 1 is sleep. Number 2 is actually intense exercise. Human growth hormone also has an appetite suppressing quality. So we can ride this, like, it's the coolest thing ever. It's so nuts. I love our bodies. Basically, I noticed this for myself. I lifted weights tonight, and it was like, I'm lifting weights at 5 o'clock. And then I'm going to do my talk, and then I'm going to go to bed. And I ate earlier today. And it's like, how's that going to go? And it's like, it's probably going to be just fine, but just curious. And after lifting, it was like, right, I'm not hungry at all. And that's because I activated human growth hormone. So when we stress our body for short bits of time, not long bits of time, that's when we raise cortisol. But when we stress our body for short periods of time, we raise human growth hormone. This is like intervals, lifting weights, resting, lifting, doing sets, having little periods of pausing. When we do that, we capitalize on human growth hormone, and we get all the benefits of it, all the things I just listed, and it also reduces our hunger. So it's like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. Granted, you might feel hungrier later, maybe, but it's something where I'll just say this, again, I'm not you, but I know for me, where it's or people that I work with, sometimes it's I had lunch at noon, we're gonna have dinner at 7, I have a workout at 5. Some people think that they need to eat something right before that, and maybe you do. But what I'm gonna say is, if you do this well, you can actually create a situation where you reduce the feeling of hunger, and you can easily cruise to dinner and make this less frequency with meals a reality. Additionally, I'll just say this, again, use what you wish and use what makes sense to you. So human growth hormone gets elevated when we work out doing something intense. It stays high for 90 minutes. So the last thing I would hope you never ever do is eat directly after the gym. So this whole anabolic threshold, this window, we need to consume 30 grams of protein, like as soon as we stop lifting, I'm going to say 100% no. Like as a woman over 40 who has like a decent amount of muscle that like hasn't been losing it by not doing such a thing ever, and works with women that do the same, that is, I think, a fallacy. So once again, if you are hungry and you need that, you do what you need to do. But human growth hormone will stay elevated for up to 90 minutes after we do something intense. And insulin, which gets elevated when we eat, will stop it. It will block it. Insulin inhibits human growth hormone. So ideally, if we have the opportunity to have a conducive environment to human growth hormone being present or elevated, we don't want to interrupt that. So that's my advice. When people are like drinking shit at the gym, like if you're a bodybuilder, like those people like take glucose because insulin is also something that helps to build muscle when you're really lean. But if you're looking to lose fat, you want to be using your fat to fuel your workout, not glucose. I hope that's obvious. So anyway, additionally, ways to increase human growth hormone, which helps with weight loss, is to make sure there's a window between when you stop eating dinner and when you go to bed. So again, we just want this shit out of our system sooner than later, and certainly before bedtime. So 4 hours, I'm gonna say that, 5, like our blood sugar will lower quicker than insulin will leave our system. So just like if you have any awareness about how long that might take, insulin hangs in there for longer. So like giving yourself several hours is pretty useful. And then the fourth way to stimulate human growth hormone is to have a lower carbohydrate diet. And so again, we don't need to go cold turkey. With fat burning, we like transition people down slowly. Should you have any interest in that, please be in touch. Check out our sugar quiz. But otherwise, I'm going to encourage you to gently reduce the carbohydrates. And even if it's in like one meal or a little bit in every meal, having less carbohydrates in our life helps with higher levels of human growth hormone. And then I'm like, is there anything else I want to say? I'm going to talk about water. And this is something, again, that it's like water, I never push it with my fat burners, but a certain amount will make sure that we feel hydrated and that we poop every day, which in my opinion is pretty important. I think that's a sign of a healthy body. And then water is also really consequential for detoxification. Detoxification is consequential for fat metabolism. So if we are severely, dehydrated, I'll just say that we are hindering that process. I'll also say if we're drinking a lot of alcohol, that stops that process until the alcohol is processed. If we're eating a lot of bullshit, medication is something that also taxes our liver. So again, it's like, you keep taking what you need to, but just know that like drugs are not a casual affair. Like there's always some sort of, I'm going to say side effect, but in and of itself, it is hard on the body. So again, do exactly what you're being instructed to do, but getting off of medication in a safe way. Sometimes people have to take things forever. But if there are ways to help transition away, it's better for your body. It makes an impact. Like a drug is not the solution in general for most people. I'm like, is there anything else? And I'll just say, so this is, detoxification is something that we support in Fat Burning Pro and Fat Burning Pro Extended because it is such a consequential thing. Toxins damage our mitochondria. Our mitochondria are the things that create energy and that burn fat. And so like number one, like we want to make sure that we are protecting those guys and supporting them forever, but it's certainly when we want to lose weight. Okay? I'm like, you know, and maybe just my final thing, there's like more to, there's totally more to share. There's totally more to share. Maybe the last two things I'll say, one is about slowing down when eating. This can feel a little excruciating, but if you know that you just like go to the moon, get over full, regret that, eat kind of unconsciously, I'll just encourage you to put the fork down and to aim to take 3 breaths. And so this is something that I've made myself do because I kind of compulsively ate. I know a lot of fat burners have slowed down their eating, which just helps fullness register. So it's like you don't have to eat less food. You just need for your food to register. And then it's easy to eat less because your fullness is clear. It's a painful technique and it will like last for life. It's so good. And then the other thing I want to say is movement after eating is really useful. So that's something that's not probably new news, going for a walk after dinner that was really promoted for a while. The thing that I want to say is that if you can do that, do it, whether that's like, I'm going to go with my, significant other, and we're going to go for a walk, or I'm going to get on my walking pad at home, or I'm going to like go to the gym, at whatever time. What I would suggest doing, if you're a busy person, is to do household shit after you eat. So maybe that's just like, I'm just going to clean up the kitchen a little bit. I'm going to put all the dishes, in the dishwasher. I'm going to empty the dishwasher. I'm going to do the laundry right now. I'm going to fold shit. I'm going to put it away instead of putting it off, because that's actually going to help my blood sugar move and be used versus be stored. That's super useful. Okay? But any little thing can be a victory, having a bedtime routine, choosing to read like 2 pages versus scrolling on your phone. I wrestle with that, making a point just tonight, like to get to bed or ready for bed like an hour before you intend to go to bed. These like teeny little victories add up. And I'll just also say, if you're someone that like, it's like, I'm not doing any of this shit, like start with one thing. And maybe you're doing a ton of these things. And maybe it's like, ooh, I could adjust right there. These things are powerful. They really add up. And there's more. Anyway, I hope that was useful. Okay. I hope this was great. This was so long. I could talk forever. I'll say something somber right now. My dad passed away July. I don't know the year. I feel like it's been like 13 years, something like that. And so my mother, I offered to speak, to give a eulogy at his funeral. And she's like, do you think like you could talk for at least like 5 or 10 minutes? And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, you're going to have to like take me off, like take me away from the podium, like get me away. I feel like it's so easy to talk. It's such a pleasurable thing. I love doing it. Anywho, that's it. I hope this was amazing. I have I have another talk in the store. I should like think of these things ahead of time. But anyway, I hope this is great. And I hope this like made someone feel like a little bit brighter. I hope you like caught some of the higher energy at certain points, over just the teaching points. Okay. So that's it. I hope this is amazing. Thank you for being here. Again, if you are a woman over 40, who would like to lose 8 to 15 pounds in a month, by going through a mitochondrial reconstruction where we literally make your body work differently and better. Please check out our sugar quiz below, or please be in touch. Okay, weight loss can be so much freaking easier, and life and like all the options and opportunities it holds can be so much more accessible. You can literally have your cake and eat it too when you are reconfigured and you know how to use strategy to your advantage. Okay, that's my goal. Would love to help you. All right, that's it. Thank you for being here. Love to you, and until next time.